Remember, it's Octagon 48 on the 4th of November, and it is set to be one of the most exciting cards of the year. And the breaking news is that the main event is Octagon's first ever flyweight championship fight. And the two men fighting for the title are Aaron Abbey and Elias Garcia. Abbey is one of Europe's best flyweights and a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. The Welshman is one of the toughest fighters in the division and is no stranger to life and death situations. Elliot is a highly skilled grappler who come up through the UFC. His record includes 6 stoppages from 9 wins, and he's on a 3-fight win streak. He is undefeated outside of the UFC and looking to continue that trend on November 4th. And you can be there at the Octagon 48 event at the AO Arena in Manchester on November 4th. Tickets start at only £19 for a great night of MMA. Get your tickets using the link in the description below. Oh, and I'll be there, so I'll see you there. Welcome back to the Pain Game YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Why haven't you subscribed yet? Come on, man. And we're talking the Prime card, full review today. And the big news is it did 1.3 million pay-per-view buys. And you already know those traditional boxing fans, they're not happy. Especially the boxers, actually. They are really not happy. So just to give you guys a bit of context, the biggest pay-per-view buys of all time, Mayweather-Pacquiao, Mayweather-McGregor, they were ridiculous. And to be honest, I barely believe them. The vast majority of the other records here are made up of actually Conor McGregor. It's all of his fights with a hint of Mayweather, De La Hoya, Pacquiao in there as well. And just to give you an idea of how big this was, UFC 205 Alvarez versus McGregor, the UFC's first ever event in New York where Conor McGregor became the champ, did 1.3 million buys. This equaled that. And it did it within 10 events. Now, if you imagine where the UFC was at after 10 events, that is sensational. From Misfits. Credit to everyone involved. And yet, we've got people saying that this is the end of Misfits. I do love Carl Froch, don't get me wrong, but we got to start with you, mate. Carl Froch, crap. He says, Tommy Fury versus KSI fight should signal the end of Misfits boxing. The fight was diabolical, said Froch. It was the worst fight I've ever seen. It wasn't competitive. Neither of them wanted to throw a punch from fear of getting hit back. Carl did actually say it should have been a draw, so he agreed with me outside of the point deduction, which then would have meant that KSI actually won the fight. And then he said, I hope it's going nowhere. I hope it hits a brick wall. And that it's going to be the last we ever have to see of this Misfits boxing. Bad news for you there, because usually when you smash pay-per-view records, it's probably a sign that we should keep doing this. I'm pretty sure DAZN will definitely have that opinion. When you consider that Anthony Joshua ain't coming anywhere near that, and he is the biggest signing they've made on the platform, you could argue, and he ain't going close to that. If anything, this is full steam ahead for Misfits right now, in my opinion. And look, I understand that the main events, both of them, for different reasons, weren't what people were hoping for in terms of an all-out war. That being said, most of these, pro boxing fans who are all over the media right now slating Misfits, the first thing they come out with is, well, it's not boxing, it's not boxing. Well, first problem, why are you talking about it then? If it ain't boxing and it's more like wrestling, you wouldn't even need to talk about it, but you are. So you're then acknowledging it, dignifying it, and actually solidifying it as boxing. And the reality is, it isn't pro boxing in the same way. Like, the standards of pro boxing and the great fights that we expect from heavyweight champions of the world are much higher. The kids who are tuning into this, they're wanting entertainment with punches. And for all the last 2 fights weren't the most entertaining fights on the card, the full card had lots of fun, entertaining boxing matches. The 2 fights before the main events were fantastic. And part of the problem was the amount that each guy had to lose in those last 2 fights, in terms of social status, meant that everyone fought in a certain way, cautiously to some degree. I mean, cautious doesn't even sum up Dylan Dennis, does it? Let's be bloody honest. But then you look at Mayweather versus Pacquiao, the biggest selling fight ever. Did that deliver? Did it shite? Don't act like pro boxing doesn't have this happen, because we can look at a lot of fights. Tyson Fury versus Chisora, Anthony Joshua's last fight. They were fights that were expected to deliver, but were not great to watch. So let's not act like this doesn't happen in pro boxing either. And pro boxing should actually be looking at this going, we've got much better boxers, and yet more people want to tune into this. Why? It's the way it was sold. It was the build-up, and Misfits and DAZN did an unbelievable job of that. But the fighters brought it. The fighters were creative, clever, funny, witty. That just doesn't happen in pro boxing. No one wants to put their neck out and be a bit of a dickhead and risk becoming a meme and humiliated because they're too busy trying to take the pressure off themselves. The biggest players in the game, including Conor McGregor, for all I dislike the guy, stack the pressure on yourself, and then everyone wants to see, are you going to win or fall flat on your face? And then you get them to care about it. And that's the biggest problem in boxing right now. That's why there's minimal stars. A lot of great fighters, but not a lot of stars. And even the stars we used to have are fading. So let's look at the highlights of the card overall. This was a fucking banging fight, to be fair. Like, this was so fun to watch. Like, tag team boxing, it's becoming a thing here. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, but I'm actually really enjoying it. This was a nice moment where you're seeing Pineda. He doesn't look very strong, does he? But he actually can box. I thought Alex Wasabi looked quite decent, actually.
Fight, so you've taken some shots. Yeah, we talk about the work.
Oh, we really hurt him then. He hurt Pineda. I thought Pineda was f***ed at this point. Did well to get back up and keep going. And I tell you what, I think B. Dave actually was the most surprising guy in this fight, because we all thought he'd be the one who was struggling and get his arse whipped in there. But if anything, he actually bit down on the gum shield and made a real go of it, despite being technically outmatched. Ooh, he's a little animal, B. Dave, you know. This is a fight that I made, my mate Nate versus Winderson Nunez. And Winderson, again, similar problems to last time. Learned how to slip jabs, but not actually then moving his feet forward to punish the guy. And I think he's actually too big for the weight. He struggles later on in the rounds. He's got a little bit of extra, I mean, in disrespect, like. But I'm just saying he's not the skinniest. And I think he could do with dropping down the weight class. And then he'll be able to use his feet more and come inside. But Nate won on the jab. That was what I thought might happen. But I thought Winderson would have more power. It's a shame for Winderson to lose back-to-back fights, but I still think he's a great character. But Nate is just the more of a boxer out of the two right now. But if Winderson learns how to fucking move forward, well then. So this fight was exactly what I thought it would be. Anthony Taylor using those dirty tactics to clinch, but get his shots off before he does. He really did put a beating on Kenny to some degree. It wasn't like a bad one where Kenny was really, really hurt, but Kenny just couldn't keep him at distance and establish the jab, and his inside fighting wasn't strong enough to handle him. And that's exactly how I seen the fight going. A lot of people had a lot of faith in Kenny before this fight because of an amazing performance against Winderson, but the level up is massive. And this is probably going to help Kenny in the long run, because I still feel like he could be one of the best guys we have in influencer boxing. But Anthony Taylor right now is a problem maybe only Anison Gibb as an influencer can solve. Unless we go to a KSI, but I don't see a KSI fighting Anthony Taylor. I think the issue for Misfits is Anthony Taylor was supposed to be a gatekeeper who, if you beat him, then you're ready for the big names, KSI, Jake Paul, Tommy Fury, all of them. But he's now got a title, and these influencers aren't able to beat him because he's improved, but also he had professional fights. Like, he was fighting Tommy Fury to a decision before Misfits. So he's in this situation now where he's got the title and very few influencers are going to be able to beat him. And if you're running Misfits, you're thinking, we want the biggest names with the titles. Anthony Taylor is now in a situation where he hasn't got a big name. His name is built purely off of Misfits. It's not like he brought a following with him. He's an entertaining character, but his fights aren't entertaining. Potentially, we could have him holding up the progress that we could make with an entertainer in there who can actually fight entertaining fights and actually brings an audience of their own, which isn't from Misfits, as the champion. And instead, we've got Anthony Taylor, who I do respect. I think he's a good trash talker. He's tough as nails. He's won the fights fair and square. But would we have been better off having a King Kenny versus Anison Gibb for that title for the company's sake? I think so. Nobody can hate on this fight, in my opinion. Waleed Sharks versus Deen, the great. I picked Waleed in this one. I thought he would have enough to beat Deen, but the punching power of Deen played a role. He just hits harder. They're so well matched. They're so good. They're arguably two of the best boxers easily that Misfits have. Credit to Waleed for managing to stay in the fight no matter how hurt he got, and actually really put it on Deen right towards the end. It was unbelievable. But in Deen, there's real potential to build a star there, but he needs to be on his social media. He needs to be actually putting out videos and becoming something more than just a boxer to maximize what he is capable of. Because the kid's charismatic, and I could see him being like our Floyd Mayweather sort of thing, like try and make him into this flashy, arrogant, cocky guy. And for all some people might not like that, I think it could help him big time to lean right into that. The one thing Deen has to worry about is he did dislocate his arm at one point in this fight. Once that starts happening, it can happen again and again, and you might need surgery, and then are you the same after surgery? The recovery of Waleed Sharks here when he's getting buzzed like this was decent, like for a smaller dude. The thing that a lot of these younger guys didn't do that night is when you're getting buzzed, stop coming back for more. When the ego kicks in, these guys, they're like, that f***ing hurt me, I'm gonna hurt you now. No, back off and collect your thoughts for a second, bro. That's just a learning process that some of these young lads are gonna have.
Yeah.
Oh, you see what I mean? And that's exactly what happened to Sol Papi. He had his guy against the ropes, and even though he was hurt, Waleed comes in and tries to put it on him. You don't need to do that now. It was the second round. I don't think it's Waleed's boxing skills that need to be worked on. It's almost like his fight management and thinking within the fight as much as anything. But I was very proud of this fight. Like, I thought that these guys did really well. For everyone hating on the level of boxing, this was a really good fight. This was towards the end when Waleed poured it on him.
What is Deen doing? 20.
Tell you what. Oh, the fact that this happened was unbelievable, man. These two, I could watch them fight every week. It's good to see those two guys hug afterwards, because it's been bad. It's been bad blood big time. But credit to both, they have added legitimacy to Misfits in my opinion. This was probably my favourite fight of the card, to be honest. I just thought Sol Papi looked unbelievable early in this fight. He was so quick, so clever, so skillful. If I could liken this fight to a fight, I'd call it the Conor McGregor Nate Diaz. Sol Papi is that explosive southpaw who pushes the energy too quickly, and if he doesn't leave enough for later, you've got Slim there, who is like Nate Diaz, long, lanky, rangy, and got a good gas tank on him, and always a threat right at the end of the fight. I just felt like Sol Papi did not manage his energy well at all. As Conor would say, I was inefficient with my energy. And Sol Papi, when he had Slim hurt, he got greedy, and he kept trying to end it, and when doing so, he kind of forgot the fact that even though Slim has those long arms, he is actually the better fighter on the inside, and Sol Papi is the better mid-range fighter, and he shouldn't have kept pushing the pace on him like that. You can see these punches from Sol Papi. They're landing, but they're not your usual Sol Papi power punches, and he was not aware of the danger he was in here. This was bad, because I really like both of these guys, so I was like, oh, there's no backward step from Sol Papi. He's trying to force the finish here. And I think if he just given himself some breathing time. But unfortunately, you don't respect Slim, and he can do that to you, man. Slim is the real deal at Misfits. A great champion. This was difficult to watch because I really like Sol Papi. Damn, son. Yeah, I think the ref did the right thing. Although it's debatable, but fair play to Slim. What a guy. He kind of came out of nowhere. We'd heard of him before Misfits, but he has cemented himself as a proper big-time player for Misfits. My only thing would be, I still think Sol Papi can win this fight. If they rematch down the road, I think it's so close, so competitive. Sol Papi was outclassing Slim for the first couple of rounds. So if he learns how to handle himself at the new weight, not gas out, and just understand the fight a bit better. It's only, his third or fourth fight, something like that. And that's not going to happen overnight. He learns to manage the distance better and understand what to do and what not to do. I think he can win this fight. And actually, I've got to say, amazing well done to Slim. But Sol Papi is my favourite fighter on Misfits. The guy is just unreal to watch. When he is like landing on fire, the way he is so quick and explosive, and he's clever, he is the one that looks most like a proper boxer out on Misfits for me, including Tommy Fury. In terms of the main events, obviously I've already covered them. There's a little bit of developing news in that Dillon Danis plans to appeal the decision. The guy's got no shame, has he? He's got no shame. The amount of things he did that would have been a disqualification if the referee wanted it to was mental. It's at the referee's discretion, I guess, including the fact that one of Logan's team stepped in the ring at one point. It was a fucking mess. To say that Dylan has any grounds is laughable for an overturn. Absolutely laughable. But that's the desperation you're at right now when you didn't have the balls to even throw punches. Conor McGregor hails Dylan Dennis for going out swinging. Did he really say that? Is Conor back on the gear again? What the f is going on? Conor said he was proud. My God, what are your standards like, mate? Proud of you, Dylan. You built that card tremendously and went out swinging. It's just lies, isn't it? But sometimes you will pat your mate on the back just to make them... They're there, mate. They're there. Tommy Fury slams KSI after YouTube star claimed he was robbed in their boxing match. Oh, really? He's actually done a video.
At the end of the day, he can come out and say what he wants, but hugging and doing star jumps in the ring does not win a fight.
Bro, what the f did you do? Tommy's just like, you know. You know what's funny is that before the Jake Paul and the KSI fight, Tommy and Big John both said, if we don't get these two out of here, it's a failure. And then both times when he wins razor close decisions, he cries and acts like he's heavyweight champion of the world. So which is it? These guys are weird guys. Like, imagine you've boxing 6 years old and you're having life and death with guys who've been doing it just as a hobby for like the last few years. But yeah, keep talking about that world title, Tommy. I'm sure it'll manifest somehow. Some of these titles, though, Misfits will not end the sport as we know it. I mean, literally, it's breathing life into it, man. The funniest thing about all of this criticism is that I would understand if pro boxing was in a great state, but yet we've got multiple fighters holding away from fighting hard fights until Saudi Arabia pay them enough money so that they can't refuse it, and otherwise the fans don't get the fights they're supposed to see because all of the people like the WBC or whatever are in the pockets of the fighters and they're holding out for Saudi Arabia money. We've been waiting 6 years or something for Wilder versus Joshua. In that time, both of them lost their belts. There's no reason for them not to take those fights, and yet Eddie Hearn still can't make it. Shambolic. Embarrassing. You've got Conor Ben, who is a world title level fighter. He's failed multiple drugs tests. Instead of actually communicating why and explaining the defense to anyone, oh, we don't have a right to it because we're all builders apparently. Like, there's this weird narrative, and yet he's fighting anywhere and everywhere he can to get out of not fighting in the UK and facing the music. There's so many worse problems with boxing than what Misfits are doing. At least start with them. And to be fair, a lot of these guys have mentioned that, but to say Misfits is the biggest problem in boxing, you're having a laugh. So that's my take on the Misfits boxing undercard and general news from around the card. Let me know what you think of every topic I've covered in this video. Appreciate all the comments that you guys give me and the likes. Don't forget to subscribe to the Pain Game YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.